Live from Wish TV, this is News 8, your 24-hour news station.
Well, heroin is no longer the drug of the past. In fact, it's on the rise here in Indiana.
And even more frightening is this. More and more teens are using it. Here's News 8's Bonnie Drucker now with her special report on teens and heroin.
Mike, heroin is rearing its ugly head in suburban communities. It's a downward spiral for families once teenagers decide to welcome the drug into their lives. In the last year, more Indiana families have found themselves in the hell of heroin addiction. Pathway Family Center in Indianapolis admitted 3 times more teens this year than last. And these are the horrifying collages addicted teenagers put together while in rehab. Suburban teens like 18-year-old Megan Prendergast connect to these emotions. Megan turned to heroin at 17 because of low self-esteem.
I think a lot of my depression, though, came from using. And I think it just built and built till I didn't care if I overdosed. I really didn't care if I lived or died anymore. It just didn't matter.
Megan, her brother and parents look like the all-American family.
I have a nice house. My parents make good money, drive a nice car. Another thing is my dad's an FBI agent. No one thinks an FBI agent's daughter could be, using drugs.
Megan is the poster child for heroin addiction. Police and drug counselors are concerned more and more kids like Megan are getting their hands on the drug. In 2002, the Indianapolis Drug Task Force seized 65 grams of heroin. In 2003, police picked up 20 times more.
And it was popular, or increased in popularity 5 years ago, and now it's just getting in Indianapolis.
Drug traffickers are importing the heroin that we find on Indianapolis streets, mostly from Southwest Asia. About a half a gram costs somewhere between $30 and $50. And kids don't have to inject it anymore. They can snort it or smoke it.
The downward spiral on heroin, the physical addiction, takes hold stronger and quicker than most other substances. People, adolescents, will turn their entire life over to the drug.
When Megan's mother learned of her daughter's addiction,
I was completely blown away. I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Her guidance counselor looked at me and said, "Your daughter's addicted to heroin." And my immediate reaction was, she's going to die.
A lot of times, kids do a great job masking what's going on. They'll hide it, they'll lie and manipulate. And a lot of parents have a hard time seeing through that. No parent wants to admit that their child is using drugs.
I mean, I would probably come home high all the time, and they wouldn't know. I mean, I remember I've eaten dinner with them, high.
Megan fooled Mike, an FBI agent trained to bust drug dealers in the rough parts of East Chicago. At home, his guard was down.
My biggest surprise was I deal with people buying and selling, not really just the using part, so I wouldn't really see the results of some of the stuff.
Mike didn't see the signs that Megan was a consumer.
It tears you up one side and down the other. And I think Mike and I have gone through that whole blaming scene of it was our fault.
Recovery has been very difficult for Megan. She turned back to heroin just 4 months ago. Despite a relapse, Megan is back in high school trying to lead a clean life again.
It's so hard to look into the future, because I don't know what's going to happen.
I really don't believe that there's a perfect world out there that Megan will be clean every day of her life until she dies, okay? But it's how Megan can address this if in fact she does stumble.
Lucy wants parents to listen to her family story.
Don't ever think that it can't happen to you.
The Pendergrass have a tough road ahead. Drug counselors told me there are warning signs parents can look for. Ask your child questions if he or she spends a lot of time in their room. Ask questions if you see a drastic change in what your teen is wearing and how they physically look. Ask questions if your child does not wake up for school or skip school. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, hear from a former addict who says there is hope even when kicking a heroin habit seems impossible. For more information on heroin addiction, you can log on to our website, wishtv.com.